What's up, Marius or Marius? I apologize, I don't know how to pronounce it, but this is Al. This is your favorite coach, or is going to be your favorite coach. I know I am coaching or co-coaching. I'm not sure. This is kind of a new thing for me to have someone hire me as their second coach, but I do appreciate it. I do, appreciate that you value my opinion. So this is Coach Isaiah. This is something I do in order for you to see what I'm seeing and for you to fix your snapped up stuff. So let's go ahead and look at. I asked you to do a little catwalk for me. So let's go ahead and concentrate on your walk and your gait here. So the reason why I do this is just so I can see how you function without being loaded, because if you're not functioning well when you're not loaded, how the hell are you going to function well when you are underneath 500 plus pounds, right? So let's talk about your walk. Now, there are a couple things that I noticed on your walk, or maybe very few. I'm not quite sure if this is because you're trying to avoid the things in your way. If you gave me a better walk or a longer walk, it would have been better if there was nothing in the way. But we will make do. And again, these are just suggestions. These don't mean that these are exactly what's happening, but this is just kind of what I'm seeing. Again, I'm still practicing my gait analysis. I'm still doing this myself. So again, bear with me. I'm trying to do the best I can. But your walk here, so if you notice how you walk here, I do notice that you tend to point out your feet a little bit. It's not exactly, I would almost say the right side is even more pointed out than the other. So if you see here, like if you see, okay, right there. So if you see the right side, it tends to be more externally rotated than the left. Now, I don't want to freak you out where it's like, oh, you're going to be, your whole spine is going to collapse because you are imbalanced. You're turning out one more than the other. You're more internally rotated on the left side. Now, that would do you a disservice, because I don't want you to freak out, and just having that psychological thing will like fuck you up basically, because again, I don't want to have these notions in your mind that you're imbalanced and that little things will fuck you up. But anyways, that's just what I see. And with that being said, the things that could possibly happen or that did happen to your back is that my guess is that your right glute might be a little tighter on the right side. Well, that's redundant. Your right glute on your right side. But it is a little tighter just because you tend to toe out a little bit more on that right side. What that's telling me is that maybe it's trying, it could be chicken or egg. It's either you were trying to protect yourself and have that glute act as a stabilizer for your back, or vice versa. Your back is it's a little bit is out of whack because of that. So it's hard to say what came first, but it doesn't matter which one came first. Let's just fucking fix it, right? So with your walk here, let's go ahead and draw a line straight down the middle. I'm not sure if you were trying to avoid this chair right here where you kind of take a inside step there. Yeah, I think that might be it. I think you were trying to just avoid that chair. So again, if we maybe just, wrong one. If we just bring that line back out again, it's hard to say because you're almost stepping in front of you here. Don't know if that was because, again, you're stepping out, or you're just a little bit tighter on one side than the other, or your right glute might be, or your right groin might be a little tighter because it's coming inwards. Again, it's hard to say. But if you look at you coming back here, it almost happens again where that right foot tends to go more toward the middle than the left. Do you see that? Again, it's hard to say. That's why I wish you went down the hallway, but that's okay. That just gives me a general idea that you're not only your right, again, all these are suggestions, don't freak out about them, but this is what I suspect, is that right glute is a little tight, right groin might be a little tight, hard to say, but again, it's just kind of, those might be the protective mechanisms trying to protect your back, because maybe you have slight weakness or so. Usually if you have kind of right QL pain, your left your left glute meat is going to be a little bit on the weaker side. So again, it's things that we can consider. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of address them all. So I'm sorry that I can't give you a exact one exercise fits all, but I'm actually going to kind of do a shotgun approach. Not the best approach, to be honest, but you are a go-getter, and I know that you're going to do all your rehab exercises and all your prehab exercises to get better. So I'm not scared that we're going to definitely get you better. It's just that you might have to do a little bit extra credit to get there, because again, I'm not 100% sure. Neither is, no one should tell you that they're 100% sure. That's kind of a load of bullshit. But again, this is the best that I can do. And, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to help you out here. So, let's go ahead and talk about your squat. Your squat, let's go ahead and do a little slow-mo of that booty. Slow-mo that booty. But, let's just go ahead and play it, see how it goes. I mean, if it makes you feel any better, your squat's pretty damn good. I like how everything moved there. Let's see. Your knees go forward. That's good. Travel straight bar path looks good. I would say that your quads could be a little bit stronger, just because your hips kind of like look at. I mean, that's me too. So if it doesn't, don't feel bad, because let's look at your shoulder. Like, okay, here is your hip height. Here is your shoulder height. Look what rises first. This. Your after, and then your shoulder. Oh, that might be a little bit too high. But the difference, that might be a little too high. Sorry, my hook grip thumbs make it hard to really write what I want to write on this coach's eye. But you can see here that your hips rise a little bit quicker. Again, that could be two things where we are not using your quads and really be upright and really drive your back into the bar. Again, that's okay. That's part of it. That's just we just gotta get you stronger overall, especially the quads. And also stabilize your back in order to transfer that force. So, with that being said, the exercises in my mind of rehab, we're going to progress you accordingly, but we're going to have a progression of basically anti-flexion movements. Because if we look into your deadlift, let's look at your deadlift, right? Let's look on the left hand side here. So what happens when you deadlift? Let's go and play that. And so your first rep's pretty good. Your first rep, you stay relatively steady. Let's pause it right there. Let's kind of do a rewind, kind of a back and forth. You see how your spine doesn't really move too bad? Because what happens flexion isn't bad. It's just that flexion movement. It's going into flexion. Even if you're in a neutral position, that's going to mess you up, just because that's a lot of movement that's happening at the disc, and that's a lot of movement a lot of force that's transferring not into the bar, but into your back. So your first rep is fine. I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's just when you get into that fatigue moment where you see, I don't know if you can notice a little bit more movement there. You see how it's not exactly the most stiffest thing ever, giga-goo. But that's okay, because again, we are going to focus on strengthening your glutes and also keeping that back tight in order to get you a little bit stronger. So again, that's all progression. We're going to progress you nice and slow first. I tend to be a little bit more Stuart McGill. I'm not sure if you're familiar with his stuff, but a lot of bird dog, a lot of side planks, a lot of anti-movement stuff. So a lot of isolation, a lot of isometric exercises at first. And then, of course, no one's going to freaking move heavy weight with freaking bird dog. So we'll progress that in a way where we continue to get stronger. But oh yeah, this video too, I could see that's it right there. You see your back, it's curving. Again, now if what I would want you to do, rather than actually starting off in that neutral position, or they're both neutral, but one's more neutral-ish than the other, but I would actually want you to stay in that position. If anything, if this is where you're ending up anyways, you might as well start the movement in that slight flex position. And I know it's a little bit controversial to think that, but or even say that, but I feel like if you're going to be in that position, you might as well stay in that position the whole way through, and that's going to reduce your amount of pain that you have in the right side. Again, maybe just getting used to that position to begin with, but again, we are going to focus on anti-flexion movements, and really focus on getting you coordinated, getting you strong in certain positions. So I'll have that ready for you in your rehab. Here is your suitcase carries or your deadlifts. Not too bad. And now we're getting a little freaky here. Now, this is one of my YouTube videos that I think is actually maybe the most popular. I don't know, of maybe the second most popular. I think my hip mobility was the most popular. But anyways, the reason why I'm taking this video here and making it look like I am pretty much getting done in the booty back and forth is because I want you to do this exercise or this mobility, because I know you said you had a lot of front pinching in the hip area, and that just might be kind of, if you look at the video, I'll link it to you. It explains a lot about concave convex rule. Basically, your femur is, okay, look, I'll draw a picture. All right, so here's your femur. That's your thigh bone, and here is your socket, right? That's your hip socket. So your femur is kind of crashing into the edge of your acetabulum. Fancy words for your hip socket. Again, if we are able to kind of pull this back a little bit more, then we're going to free up the room that we have in order to flex. So we'll have more room in the front. You won't feel that pinching sensation. You might even feel instant relief. So give that a try. Like I said, I'll link the video again. What I'm doing is basically pulling that. You can see that there's a band is pulling the femur backwards, and then you're going into that flex movement, and kind of you're greasing the groove, and you're allowing that point of instantaneous rotation. Fancy words for how your I was gonna say fancy words for your arthrokinematics, but that's fancy ass words too. Fancy words for how your joint moves in that joint. So we want it to move properly. We want it to have a nice function in order to be pain-free. Again, if you have this nice tension of the band and kind of go back and forth in that position, again, I'll just follow the directions on the video. You might feel pretty pain-free. So I want you to test and retest. So before you do the little mobilization, just do a squat or do something that's going to provoke that pain. You said that you feel pain in the squat or tightness or whatever. Do that movement, and then do this, and then do it after, and see if it made any better or any worse. My prediction is it's going to be better. So that's something that we need to do almost daily, I would say. I mean, it really depends on you. If it was me, I'm kind of a extremist, all or nothing kind of guy. So I tend to do it almost 2 to 3 times a day if I feel it. Again, that's. Again, it's on you, but it's not going to do anything worse. If anything, it's going to do it's all good stuff, because it's not like an exercise that you have to recover from, and you should feel pretty damn good. So again, that is my thing here. Again, I'll progress you. I'm still thinking of things where I'm going to progress you, but we're going to start off with the basics of anti-movement, and then move on to a little bit more extreme stuff, not extreme stuff, I shouldn't say that, more scaled versions, where it's going to be like almost like one dumbbell, one-legged Romanian deadlifts. I know you have that, but there's things that I'm looking for where you're not shifting side to side, having rotation, because and then we're also going to play around with hip airplanes, because hip airplanes, that's going to be a game changer for you, especially for your right glute. It tends to be tighter. So if you are able to control, I'm not sure if you know what hip airplanes are, but basically you're in this position here that you are here on one leg, and you're basically kind of turning in, turning out on one leg. And so that's why it looks like an airplane. It's almost like you're I'll send you a video of it as well, of me doing it, and things that the reason why it's going to be helpful is because you're strengthening your glute and all that full range of motion that's really specific for the deadlift, because you're in a pretty much deadlift position but in a single leg. So again, we are concentrating on that strength in that in stretch position of the glute, contracted position of the glute, and once we get it strong, then it can kind of ease up and possibly ease up that back. That might be pulling a little bit more. It's hard to say what's really going on, but again, we are going to troubleshoot with you because I am your coach and you love me, and I want you to love me because that's just my selfish way of being egocentric, because I want you to love me. So, again, we'll get you pain-free. I am happy that I appreciate you choosing me as your coach. So, other than that, train hard, train smart. If you have any questions, please let me know, because, again, I am your coach. I am your co-coach. But maybe, just maybe, if I pull this off right, you'll love my rehab and prehab so much and my programming that you might just fire your other coach and just have me full time, because it might be cheaper for you that way. Plus, again, I'm not a record holder, but again, I feel like I do pretty well and I bring results. But again, that's just me being big-headed. But anyways, I digress. I keep talking here. This is already a 16-minute video. Train hard, train smart, and I'll keep in touch.